Welcome back. It's time for a Throwback Thursday video. For today's Throwback Thursday, we're looking at the 1999 novel, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which you can get a 20th anniversary version of at this point. And my goodness, does that make me feel old. This was a wonderful book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was very popular in the early 2000s, and they ended up making a film in 2012. What's fascinating about this book is it was written by Stephen Chbosky, and he was able to negotiate that he write and direct the film as well. It's very impressive that the film was so accurate to the novel, but that's because you have the actual writer of the novel adapting the film. The book is written as letters from the main character Charlie to his friend, but you find out very quickly in the novel that Charlie's best friend had committed suicide. And by the way, this is a good time to point out a lot of potential trigger warnings for people reading this book, but that's part of what makes the book so good. It deals with teenagers figuring out their identity, sexuality, it's got drug use, it talks about sexual abuse, rape, and mental health. There's a lot there. It's a very emotional book. It's very packed. The main characters are Charlie, who has been through a lot with his friend having committed suicide and dealing with his own depression. He really has no friends, but he ends up meeting Sam and Patrick. Sam and Patrick are step-siblings, and in the film version, Charlie is played by Logan Lerman, Sam is played by Emma Watson, and Patrick is played by Ezra Miller. Charlie ends up with a crush on Sam, and it's a very interesting story as it goes through their life in high school. At the beginning, Charlie's having trouble adapting to high school, but Sam and Patrick welcome him to sit with them at a football game, and then he befriends them, ends up going to parties, learning more about them. There are a lot of beats to the story, but I feel like if I tell you very much more, then of course I'm going to be giving you spoilers. So what I'll try to do instead is focus on some of the big ideas. When the book came out, it was considered a critical success and nominated for a lot of awards. And then in 2012, the film as well was very well received and won a lot of awards. Back in the year 1999, this book really stood out. You didn't see a lot of teenage coming of age stories that dealt with this many issues and that did it so well, that was so positive about the mental health issues and sexuality and the teenagers figuring out their identity amongst that really whirlpool of depression and disaster in their lives. Today, this would probably just seem like your average book that's coming out in 2020, but it really stood out in 1999, so I'm gonna go out of my way to say I feel like this book helped pave the way for what we have been getting in the recent years. I was also really surprised when I went online to get a new copy of it and found that they had the 20th anniversary editions available now, so I went ahead and got one of those so I could get the extra bonus material inside. So that is something that you may want to consider. If you read this book 10, 15, 20 years ago, you might want to get the new edition to get the extra information. When you compare the novel to the film, they hold up together very well, of course, because Chbosky did both the film and the novel. It is said that when the film premiered, that it received a standing ovation. If you have not seen the film, if you have not read the book, then I would recommend reading the book first, even though the book and the film are so very similar. But I think it's a joy to read the book and then watch the film and see how well that the novel was converted to film, to see that it can in fact be done. It's also got a nice soundtrack. Stephen Chbosky did a nice job with the music in the film. That's it for today's book talk. Every day is a good day for a book talk. Peace.